She fell dying in the snow after her mate rejected her. A giant black wolf curled around her bond. The moon hung low above the mountains, full and pale, watching the world like an ancient eye that never blinked. Alara stood alone at the edge of the great stone circle. She had been summoned at moonrise. Everyone knew what that meant: the moon bond. For generations, the moon chose mates for the wolf clans. Kings, warriors, omegas, no one escaped it. When the bond appeared, it burned silver on the skin, warm and undeniable. It was said to be a blessing. It was said to bring strength, unity, and balance to the realm. But Alara felt no blessing, only fear. Her thin cloak trembled in the cold wind as she stepped forward. Around her, the Black Fang pack stood in silence, warriors tall and powerful, elders wrapped in heavy furs, nobles watching with sharp, judging eyes. And at the center of them all stood King Alaric. He was taller than any man Alara had ever seen. His dark armor reflected moonlight like frozen shadow. Long black hair fell past his shoulders, and his eyes, deep gray, almost silver, held no warmth. He was called many names. The Black Wolf King, the Cursed King, the king who never loved. Alara had never spoken to him before. She was only an Omega healer's daughter, quiet, unnoticed, easy to forget, until the moon chose her. A sharp breath left her chest as the silver mark burned to life on her wrist. It shimmered like living light, forming the ancient symbol of a bonded mate. Gasps moved through the crowd. Whispers followed. The moon has chosen. The bond was complete. For one fragile moment, hope rose in Alara's chest. Not joy, she dared not hope for that, but something softer: safety, belonging, a place where she would not always be alone. The moon did not make mistakes, or so she believed. Alaric looked down at his glowing mark, then at her. His face hardened. The air seemed to freeze. No. The word fell heavy and sharp, cutting through the night. A murmur spread across the pack. The elders stiffened. The warriors shifted uneasily. Alara's heart stuttered. "My king," one elder said carefully. "The bond, I will not accept it," Alaric said, his voice calm but cold. "The moon may mark fate, but I will not." Alara's breath left her lungs. She took one unsteady step forward. "My king, if I have done something wrong." "You have done nothing," he interrupted. That was somehow worse. He looked at her fully now, not with anger, not with hate, with distance. "I reject the bond," Alaric said, loud enough for all to hear. "This woman is not my mate. She will not be queen. She will not stand beside me." The silver mark on his wrist dimmed, but did not disappear. The moon did not release bonds so easily. A sharp pain tore through Alara's chest. She clutched her cloak, her knees weakening as whispers turned louder. "Rejected." "Before the bond harms you further." She looked up, desperate. "Why?" For a moment something flickered in his eyes, pain, fear. Then it was gone. "Because everyone I love dies," he said. Silence followed. Alara's throat closed. She nodded slowly, though her heart screamed in protest. She turned away from the stone circle, away from the staring eyes, away from the king who had shattered her fate with a single word. Snow swallowed her footsteps as she ran. The forest beyond the packlands was dark and endless. Trees stretched like twisted shadows, their branches heavy with snow. The wind cut through Alara's cloak, biting her skin, stealing her warmth. She did not stop. Her chest burned. The rejected bond pulsed painfully at her wrist, sending waves of weakness through her body. Each step became harder than the last. Why did the moon choose her? Why give her hope only to destroy it? Her vision blurred as tears froze on her lashes. She stumbled, catching herself against a tree, gasping for breath. The bond screamed inside her now, unanswered, broken, wounded. The cold crept deeper. Alara fell to her knees. Snow soaked into her clothes. Her fingers went numb. She pressed her palm against the glowing mark, trying to ease the pain. "I didn't ask for this," she whispered into the empty forest. "I didn't ask to be chosen." The wind answered with silence. Her strength faded quickly after that. She collapsed onto her side, body curling inward as the storm thickened. Snowflakes clung to her hair, her lashes, her lips. Each breath grew shallow and weak. The world felt very far away. Her thoughts slowed, drifting like leaves on frozen water. So this is how it ends, she thought, rejected by fate, forgotten by the world. The moonlight above dimmed behind heavy clouds. Darkness closed in, soft and heavy. Then the ground shook. Alara's eyes fluttered open. A deep sound echoed through the forest, not thunder, not wind. A low, powerful presence that made the air vibrate. Snow shifted. Branches snapped. A shadow moved through the storm, vast and slow. Alara tried to lift her head, but her body would not listen. Fear and wonder tangled in her chest as glowing eyes appeared in the darkness, silver, sharp, watching her. The shape stepped closer. It was a wolf, no more than a wolf. It was enormous, larger than any beast of legend. Its fur was black as midnight, dusted with snow. Each breath steamed in the frozen air. Its eyes held ancient sorrow and wild power. The giant black wolf stopped beside her. Alara could not move, could not scream. The wolf lowered its massive head, sniffing the air around her, then let out a deep, broken sound, half growl, half grief. Carefully, gently, the beast curled its body around hers. Warmth surrounded her instantly. The wind could no longer reach her. The snow no longer touched her skin. Strong fur blocked the cold, steady breathing warming her frozen limbs. Alara's eyes widened weakly. The silver bond on her wrist flared bright, stronger than before. Recognition passed through her fading mind. Not fear, not danger, him. As darkness pulled her under, she felt the wolf's head rest protectively over her heart. And far away, in the stone circle he had left behind, King Alaric dropped to one knee. It was the first thing she felt, not the sharp cold of snow, not the burning pain of rejection, but steady warmth, deep and protective like a living wall against the storm. Her breath came slowly. Each time she breathed in, the air felt less painful. She did not open her eyes yet. She was afraid that if she did, the warmth would vanish and she would be alone again. Outside, the storm raged. Wind howled through the trees, shaking branches, burying the forest under endless white, but none of it touched her now. A deep, steady breathing filled the space around her. Not human, not dangerous, strong. Alara's fingers twitched. Her wrist burned gently, the silver bond glowing brighter than it ever had before. It no longer hurt the same way. The pain was still there, but wrapped in something else. Presence. Slowly she opened her eyes. Dark fur filled her vision, so close that she could see individual strands dusted with snow. Her cheek rested against a warm surface that rose and fell with breath. She froze. The memory rushed back, the forest, the cold, the shadow, the glowing eyes. The wolf. Her heart raced, but her body was too weak to move. She lifted her eyes just enough to see the massive shape curled around her. The giant black wolf lay on its side, its body forming a shield. One powerful leg rested carefully over her, not trapping her, protecting her. Its head was lowered near her chest, ears twitching slightly, listening, watching. The wolf was awake. Its silver eyes opened slowly and met hers. Alara gasped softly. The eyes were not wild. They were not cruel, they were full of something heavy. Pain, recognition. The bond on her wrist pulsed, warm and alive. "You," she whispered, though her voice barely existed. The wolf did not move away. Instead, it lowered its head closer, releasing a deep, gentle sound, not a growl, not a warning, a promise. Tears filled Alara's eyes without her permission. She did not understand how she knew, but she knew. "Alaric," she whispered. The wolf closed its eyes. Far away in the stone halls of the Black Fang Keep, King Alaric lay on the cold floor of his chamber, breath shaking, heart burning as the curse broke its chains. He had tried to run from it. The moment Alara collapsed in the snow, the bond had roared back to life. Not as a quiet mark, but as a scream through his soul. Pain unlike anything he had known tore through him. His chest burned. His vision darkened. The walls of his chamber cracked as power surged free. He had fallen. and when he rose, he was no longer a man. Now wrapped around the woman he had rejected, Alaric stayed perfectly still. Every instinct inside him screamed to pull her closer, to keep her warm, to never let her go again. But fear held him back. Fear of hurting her. Fear of killing her. Fear of the curse. Alara watched him carefully. She could feel his tension through the bond, like a storm held too tightly inside a single breath. "I'm not afraid," she whispered. The wolf's ears flicked. "I should be," she continued weakly, "but I'm not." She lifted her trembling hand and rested it against his fur. The moment her fingers touched him, the bond flared bright silver, filling the space between them with light. The wolf sucked in a sharp breath. Images flooded Alara's mind. Not dreams, memories. A woman standing in fire, pressing her hands to a wounded king's chest. A black wolf howling beneath a red moon. A promise whispered in blood and magic: "I will find you again." Alara cried out softly. The images faded, leaving her breathless. "I've seen this before," she whispered. "Haven't I?" The wolf lowered his head until his forehead touched hers. "Yes." The answer echoed inside her chest. Time passed slowly. The storm began to weaken. When dawn finally touched the sky with pale gray light, Alaric carefully lifted Alara into his jaws, gentle despite his size, and carried her through the forest. He did not take her back to the pack. He took her to the forbidden ruins. Ancient stone walls rose from the snow like broken bones of an old world. Moon symbols covered the cracked ground, glowing faintly as the bond reacted to the place. This was where the curse was born. This was where truth waited. Inside the largest chamber, Alaric laid Alara down beside a broken altar. As her body touched the stone, warmth spread through her veins. The bond stabilized, glowing steady instead of sharp. The wolf stepped back. Silver light wrapped around him. Bones shifted. Fur faded. Power folded inward. Alaric collapsed to his knees, human once more, breathing hard, hair falling around his face, hands shaking. He did not look at her. "I should have let you die," he said hoarsely. Alara's heart clenched. "No," she whispered. "You saved me." "I condemned you the moment I rejected you," he said. "The bond does not forgive denial. It destroys those who are cast aside." He finally looked at her then. Pain carved his features deep. "I have watched everyone I love fade into the ground," he said. "My mother, my brother. My first bond." His voice broke. "I will not watch you die." Alara pushed herself up slowly, weak but determined. "You don't get to decide that alone," she said. He laughed bitterly. "You don't know what you're choosing." "Neither did you," she replied softly. Silence stretched between them. The bond hummed. "I saw things," Alara said. "Memories, another life." Alaric stiffened. "The curse," she continued, "it began with a promise, not punishment." His eyes darkened. "The elders lied," he said. "They said love was forbidden to me." "They were wrong," Alara said. "This curse tests love, it doesn't destroy it." Hope flickered dangerously between them. Suddenly the ground shook. Voices echoed outside. Torches flared through broken windows. The elders had followed the bond. "They're coming," Alaric said, standing. "If they see you alive, bonded to me, they'll fear me," Alara said quietly. He stared. She met his gaze, no longer the broken omega in the snow. "I survived rejection," she said. "I survived the bond tearing me apart." The silver mark burned bright. "Whatever I am becoming," she whispered, "they will not control it." Outside, footsteps grew closer. Alaric reached for her hand but stopped. "If you stay," he said, "everything will change." Alara did not hesitate. She took his hand herself. The ruins trembled. The bond roared. And somewhere deep within the ancient stones, the curse began to crack. The ruins trembled as the bond roared. Silver light climbed the broken walls, spreading across ancient symbols carved by hands long turned to dust. The elders stopped at the edge of the chamber, fear freezing them in place. They had followed the bond's call. They had not expected what they saw. Alara stood beside King Alaric, her hand still resting in his. The silver mark on her wrist burned brighter than moonfire, steady and unbroken. She was pale, weakened, but standing. Alive. She should be dead, one elder whispered. Alaric stepped forward at once, placing himself between Alara and the elders. His posture was sharp, protective, dangerous. "She lives," he said, "and she remains under my protection." The elders exchanged uneasy looks. "The curse grows stronger," the eldest said. "You cannot fight it, my king. The bond is unstable if she stays." "She will die," another elder finished. Silence fell. Alara's fingers tightened around Alaric's hand. She felt the truth of their words echo inside the bond. The warmth she felt was real but fragile, like ice beneath early spring sun. Alaric turned to her, his voice low. "I told you this would happen." "You told me fear," Alara replied softly, "not truth." She stepped forward, gently pulling her hand from his. The bond protested instantly, a sharp ache tearing through both of them. Alara gasped but stayed upright. "I will not be the reason the realm burns," she said, "or the reason you fall." Alaric's eyes darkened. "Do not do this." "You rejected me once to protect me," she said. "Now let me do the same." The elders stiffened. "You would leave?" one asked. "Yes," Alara answered. Her voice was calm, but inside she was breaking. "If I stay," she continued, "the curse feeds on fear and closeness. It grows stronger through denial and control, but distance weakens it." Alaric shook his head. "You don't know that." "I do," she said quietly. "The bond showed me." She stepped back, away from him, away from warmth and safety. The bond screamed. Alaric staggered, clutching his chest, barely holding his form together. "Stop," he begged. "Please." Alara turned before her courage failed. "If fate truly chose us," she said, tears slipping free at last, "then it will find us again." She walked past the elders. No one stopped her. By nightfall, Alara crossed the border of the Black Fang lands. The moment her foot touched the frost-covered stone beyond the realm, the world changed. The silver bond snapped tight, then stretched painfully thin. Alara cried out, collapsing to her knees. Far away, Alaric fell as well, shifting violently between man and wolf as the curse surged out of control. The elders shouted, "The bond is tearing." The curse was no longer sleeping. Alara pushed herself to her feet, breath shaking. Every step away from the pack felt like walking through fire, but she did not stop. She walked into exile. Days passed. Alara wandered through frozen valleys and silent forests. Hunger gnawed at her. Cold burned her skin, but something inside her kept her alive. Power. It stirred when she was weak. When she fell, the ground warmed beneath her hands. When fear rose, the moonlight followed her steps. She dreamed every night. Dreams of crowns buried in snow. Dreams of a black wolf howling in pain. Dreams of herself standing tall, silver light in her eyes. Each dream left her stronger, and farther from the girl who had fallen dying in the snow. Back in the Black Fang realm, chaos spread. Without Alara near, the curse twisted violently. Alaric lost control more often, shifting without warning, his wolf form tearing through forests and mountains. The pack feared him. Enemies sensed weakness. Rival kings gathered armies at the borders, whispering that the Black Wolf King was falling. Alaric fought every night to hold himself together. Every night he felt her absence like a missing limb. "She survives," he whispered to the moon. "I know she does." But survival was not enough. One night the elders came to him with grave faces. "The curse has changed," the eldest said. "It no longer feeds on love alone, it feeds on power denied." Alaric understood instantly. The crown, the throne, the control he clung to. "If I kneel," he said slowly, "the curse weakens." "Yes," the elder replied, "but the realm will fracture." Alaric closed his eyes. He saw Alara as she was now, walking alone beneath stars, growing stronger with every step away from him. "She is becoming something greater," he said. "She always was," the elder answered. Weeks later, word spread across the lands. The moon-chosen woman had returned. Alara stood at the edge of a forgotten city, her presence bending the air around her. People gathered silently, drawn by something they could not name. She no longer hid her mark. Silver light traced her wrist, her throat, her eyes. They bowed, not because she commanded it, but because they felt truth. She walks without fear. Then, for the first time since his coronation, he removed his crown. "Prepare the pack," he said. "I will face fate unarmed." As the moon rose full and heavy once more, Elara felt the bond pull tight again, not in pain but in warning. Something was coming, something final. She lifted her eyes to the sky. "Hold on," she whispered. "I'm coming." And far away, the Black Wolf King knelt alone in the snow, waiting. Moonlight spilled across the land, reflecting on frozen rivers, snow-covered mountains, and broken castles. The wind carried whispers, faint and mournful, as if the earth itself waited for something impossible to happen. Elara stood at the edge of the cursed forest, where shadows stretched long, and the remnants of ancient magic lingered. She had walked far, survived more than anyone believed possible, and grown into something the world had not expected, a woman stronger than the storms themselves. Her silver mark glowed steadily. The Moon-bearer, the elders called her now, though she never claimed the title. She only knew that she could feel the bond pull toward him, across the frozen lands, even though she had chosen exile. Somewhere far away, in the heart of the Black Fang territory, Alaric knelt in the snow. His crown lay at his feet, heavy and cold, the symbol of his power and the chains he had carried for so long. The curse that had haunted his family, his life, and his heart roared inside him like a storm threatening to destroy everything. He did not move. He did not shift into wolf form, he only waited. He had realized finally that love was not weakness, power was not strength, control was not freedom. Only letting go could break the curse. He whispered into the cold wind, hoping the bond could hear him. "Elara, I kneel for you. I choose you. I choose love over crown, heart over fear. Come to me." The wind stilled. The snow paused midair. Time seemed to hold its breath. Elara felt the pull, sharper now than ever. It was no longer just magic. It was longing, hope, and fear tangled together. She took a deep breath, feeling the icy air fill her lungs, and began to run. Her steps were fast, sure, guided by something deeper than sight or instinct, guided by the bond that had always connected them. The closer she came, the heavier the wind became. The snow thickened, turning the world white. Shadows shifted, moving in ways that were not natural. The curse had sensed her return. When she reached the edge of the Black Fang lands, the ground shook. Trees bent under invisible weight, and a low, guttural roar rolled across the mountains. Alaric had already felt it. He rose, hands trembling, eyes glowing faint silver under the moon. He did not try to hide his fear. He did not try to fight. He only spread his arms, waiting. Elara stopped, her chest heaving. The wind whipped her hair across her face. She raised her eyes to him. She had walked through death, isolation, and fear. She had become more than she had ever imagined. Yet seeing him kneel, unarmed and vulnerable, struck her in a way nothing else had. She stepped forward. The bond flared like living fire. Every step sent waves of energy across the land. Alaric watched her, silent, as if the world could not bear to speak. Finally she reached him. She did not falter, she did not hesitate. The moment her hand touched his, the curse screamed. Snow swirled violently. Ice cracked beneath their feet. Winds howled like lost spirits. Yet the bond between them burned brighter, silver and steady, cutting through the darkness with pure light. Alaric rose slowly, shaking, as she took both his hands. The storm around them seemed to bow to their connection. The silver mark on her wrist spread like veins of light across his chest. "Elara," he whispered. His voice was raw, trembling. "You came back." "I told you," she said, her own voice steady. "Fate will not be denied when it chooses us." The wind intensified. A shadow moved behind them. The curse, sensing the choice they had made, tried one last time to destroy them. The ground beneath their feet shook violently, trees snapped, ice cracked, but Alaric did not falter. Alara did not falter. Together they lifted their hands, palms touching, the bond shining like a beacon. The storm screamed, then broke. Silver light poured from the bond, spreading across the mountains and valleys. Snow melted, ice cracked, and shadows fled like smoke in the sun. The curse was broken. Alaric fell to his knees once more, exhausted, body trembling. The wolf inside him stirred but did not emerge. He was still human, still the king, but different, freed. Alara knelt beside him, placing her hands on his shoulders. "You are free," she said softly. He looked at her, eyes filled with something he had never allowed himself to feel fully, relief, joy, and love. "We are free," he corrected. The elders who had followed them arrived quietly, astonished. They had come expecting chaos, destruction, and disaster. Instead, they found two figures bathed in silver moonlight, the curse broken, the bond stronger than ever, the air itself trembling with power and peace. One elder stepped forward. "The bond, it has been transformed," he said. "By love, by choice, by strength." Alara smiled faintly. "The bond does not demand, it does not control, it only grows with trust, with courage, with care. We chose each other, even after fear, even after pain. That is what broke the curse." Alaric's hand found hers again. "I rejected you once," he said. "I feared what love would cost you, but now I see it costs everything to deny it, everything to hide from it. I kneel because I love you, because I choose you, because I finally understand what strength really means." Alara leaned closer. The silver glow from the bond wrapped around them both, brighter than moonlight, warmer than fire. "And I choose you," she whispered. For the first time in years, Alaric smiled, not as a king commanding fear, not as a cursed wolf hiding in shadows, but as a man who had faced himself and survived. He reached forward, touching her face gently. "Then we begin," he said, "together." The storm around them disappeared. The moon shone clearly, reflecting on the frozen river and the mountains. Life returned to the lands that had been gray and cold for so long. The people saw the silver light in the distance and whispered of hope, of legend, of the moon-bearer and the Black Wolf King. Alara and Alaric stood together, hands intertwined, looking at the horizon. There would be challenges, the elders warned. Rival packs, old enemies, and the weight of the crown awaited. But they were ready, not because they were fearless, but because they faced the world as equals, bound by choice and trust. A wolf's howl echoed in the distance, not Alaric, not her, but a wild, free sound. They smiled, knowing they were no longer bound by fear, but by something greater. Love that had endured, hope that had survived, and strength that had been born from pain. Alaric bent to his knee again, but this time not as a king submitting to fate, but as a man honoring the woman beside him. "Alara," he said softly, "stand with me, not as my mate under a curse, but as my equal, as my partner, as the one who saved me from myself." Alara lifted her chin, meeting his gaze with certainty. "Always," she said, "the moon watched, the land watched, and the bond glowed bright as the first dawn, marking the beginning of a new legend. The night was quiet, peaceful, full of promise. And for the first time in centuries, the Black Wolf King smiled freely, the woman who had survived rejection standing proudly by his side. The curse was gone. The bond was stronger than ever. The legend had begun.